Hi there, and welcome back to Easy Peasy English, the podcast where we make learning English simple, fun, and focused on what really matters, your confidence and communication. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Whether you're listening during a break, while walking, or just relaxing at home, thank you for choosing this moment to grow your English with me. Today's episode is about something that many learners forget, especially when they're feeling frustrated or stuck. It's the idea that English is a journey, not a test. Have you ever felt like you were being constantly judged when speaking English? Like every word had to be perfect, every sentence had to be grammatically correct, every answer had to be fast and fluent? If so, you're definitely not alone. Many learners fall into this trap. They treat English like a performance. A pass-or-fail situation. But that mindset creates pressure. And pressure makes learning harder. Let's break that mindset down together, slowly, gently, and with kindness. Let's begin. When you treat English like a test, you put yourself under pressure to be perfect. You feel nervous about speaking, worried about being corrected, or afraid of being misunderstood. You might spend more time trying to avoid mistakes than actually communicating. And the worst part? That pressure can steal your joy. Learning a language should feel like discovering a new world, not like walking on a tightrope. Think about the last time you tried to speak English and hesitated. Maybe you knew the word you wanted to say, but you weren't 100% sure about the grammar. So you stayed quiet. Or maybe someone asked you a question, and you understood it, but you took so long to respond that they moved on. And afterward, you thought, why didn't I just say it? This kind of thinking comes from the belief that speaking English is a test, and if you don't say things perfectly, you've failed. But here's the truth, it's not a test. It's a conversation. It's a journey. And journeys are meant to be full of little surprises, wrong turns, and unexpected moments. No one walks a perfect path the first time, and no one speaks a new language without some bumps along the way. And here's something else to remember. Language is not just about rules. It's about connection. You're not learning English to impress a grammar book. You're learning English to talk to real people, to express your thoughts, to ask for help, to tell stories, to build relationships. And none of that requires perfection. It just requires effort, and a willingness to show up. I remember talking to a man who was learning English because he wanted to help tourists in his small town. He didn't have a perfect accent. His grammar wasn't always correct. But do you know what people noticed about him? His kindness. His enthusiasm. His willingness to help, even if it took a few extra seconds to find the right word. And because he saw English as a tool, not a test, he was relaxed, friendly, and brave. And people loved talking to him. This mindset shift, from, I must pass the test, to, I'm on a journey, changes everything. You stop beating yourself up for every mistake. You stop comparing yourself to native speakers or fast learners. And you start celebrating small victories. I understood that movie line. I ordered coffee in English today. I remembered that new word from yesterday. Each one of those moments is a step forward. And here's something really important. When you treat learning as a journey, you become more patient with yourself. You realize that there will be easy days and hard days. Some days, English will flow easily. Other days, your brain will feel tired, and even simple words will feel far away. That's not failure, that's normal. That's life. And in any journey, rest days are part of the process too. Many learners think they need to study harder or longer to catch up. But sometimes what they really need is to breathe. To remember why they started. To remind themselves that they're human. And being human means learning slowly, with emotion, with effort, and with grace. One learner told me something that stuck with me. When I stopped trying to be perfect, I started actually learning. That shift, from performance to progress, freed him. He began to speak more often. He stopped worrying so much about accents. And most importantly, he started enjoying English again. And that's something I hope for you too. When you look at learning English as a journey, something else begins to happen. You start noticing all the places you've already been. The little victories that felt too small to celebrate at the time suddenly become milestones. You remember the first time you understood a full sentence in a movie without subtitles. The first time you said, "Hi, how are you?" to someone without planning it first in your head. The first time someone complimented your English, even if you didn't believe them. These are not small things. These are signs of growth. They are proof that you've been moving forward, step by step, even on the days when it felt like you were standing still. But when you treat English like a test, you ignore those milestones. You focus only on the wrong answers, the words you forgot, the sentence you messed up, the grammar rule you didn't understand. You forget that no journey is perfect. You forget that learning anything new, especially a language, is supposed to be messy. We don't grow by getting everything right. We grow by being brave enough to keep going even when we don't. And here's the beautiful thing, when you finally shift your mindset, when you stop thinking of English as a test and start seeing it as a journey, everything softens. You begin to approach practice with curiosity, not judgment. You listen to English podcasts not to study every word, but to enjoy the rhythm, the tone, the way people speak. You read books not to memorize every new word, but to follow the story. You speak not to impress anyone, but to connect. That shift, though it seems small, transforms the whole experience. It becomes lighter. More joyful. More real. You might be wondering, but if I stop focusing on the rules, won't I make more mistakes? The truth is, yes, you might. But those mistakes will teach you more than memorizing a grammar chart ever will. Mistakes are not the enemy. Fear is. And fear is what grows when we treat every interaction like an exam. Think about it, when you're afraid to make a mistake, you hold back. You stay silent in conversations. You avoid opportunities to speak. You overthink your sentences until the moment passes. And every time that happens, your confidence gets a little smaller. But when you let go of the fear, when you say, it's okay if I make a mistake. I'm learning. You start opening doors. You speak more. You listen more. You ask more questions. You grow. Real language learning doesn't happen in silence. It happens in motion, when you use what you know, even if it's not perfect. When you take chances. When you laugh at yourself and keep going anyway. That's the heart of it. That's the journey. And let's be honest, journeys aren't always fast. Sometimes they're slow. Sometimes you take a step forward and 2 steps back. Sometimes you rest. Sometimes you get lost. But if you're still here, still learning, still trying, still listening, then you are still moving. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. In fact, some of the strongest learners I know are not the ones who memorize vocabulary the fastest or score highest on tests. They're the ones who keep showing up. The ones who fall, then stand up again. The ones who smile and say, that's okay, I'll try again tomorrow. Because they understand something deep and powerful, English is not a race. It's a path. Their path, and every single step is progress. You see, when we accept that English is a journey, not a test, we start becoming kinder to ourselves. And that kindness matters more than we think. Because learning a language is deeply personal. It's not just about words or grammar, it's about how you see yourself. If every time you speak you feel like you're being graded, it's hard to feel confident. But if every conversation is a step along your path, even the awkward ones, even the ones where you forget a word, then each moment becomes meaningful. It becomes part of your story. And every story has chapters that are slow. Chapters that are confusing. Chapters where the hero, you, doubts if they're going the right way. That's okay. That's what makes the story worth telling. Think about your favorite book or movie. The main character doesn't just win all the time. They struggle. They learn. They fall and get back up. And in the end, you admire them not because they were perfect, but because they kept going. That's the kind of learner you are becoming. Too many learners quit because they think the journey is supposed to be straight. They believe that if they aren't getting better every day, they're doing something wrong. But learning doesn't work like that. Progress is often invisible. You might not realize how much you've improved until you look back. That's why it's so important to keep track of your little wins, the sentence you understood on a podcast, the message you wrote in English without using Google Translate, the moment someone smiled and said, "Your English is good." Those wins add up. They are your footsteps. And on the days when you feel slow, when English feels heavy, I want you to try something simple: look back. Not forward. Look at how far you've come. Think about what your English was like 1 year ago. 6 months ago. Even last week. Chances are, you'll find growth. Quiet, steady, beautiful growth. It might not show up on a test. But it lives in your confidence. In your voice. In your effort. Another thing that changes when you stop treating English like a test is your relationship with mistakes. You begin to see them as part of the process, not proof that you're failing. You make peace with them. You learn from them. And sometimes, they even make you laugh. You mispronounce a word, someone chuckles, and you laugh too. You try again. And that moment, that simple act of trying again, builds something powerful inside you: resilience. Because the truth is, no one speaks perfectly. Not even native speakers. We all forget words. We all say strange things sometimes. The difference is, native speakers aren't afraid of their mistakes. They keep talking. They trust the process. You can do that too. And let's not forget, your journey is yours. Not your teacher's. Not your classmates. Not that YouTuber who speaks 10 languages. Yours. That means you get to go at your own pace. You get to decide what matters to you. Maybe you care more about speaking than writing. Maybe you love watching TV shows in English but don't enjoy grammar exercises. That's okay. Your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. It just has to be yours. So the next time you feel frustrated, or lost, or slow, remember, you are not in a test. You are on a journey. A real one. And every step you take, even the ones that feel small, is part of something much bigger than you can see right now. And there's something beautiful that happens when you start to shift your mindset, when you stop seeing English as a competition or a pass/fail exam and begin to view it as a living, breathing part of your life. You stop comparing your journey to others. You stop asking, am I behind? And start asking, am I still going? That small change can take away so much pressure. Because progress doesn't always mean moving fast, sometimes it just means not giving up. And speaking of not giving up, let's talk about plateaus, those times when it feels like nothing is changing. You're still practicing, still learning, still showing up, but you don't feel better than you did last week. This is where many learners start to doubt themselves. But this is also where many breakthroughs are born, quietly, behind the scenes. Imagine your brain as a garden. When you plant a seed, you don't see anything for a while. The roots are growing first. The foundation is being built underneath. Then, one day, that little green sprout appears. It feels sudden, but it wasn't. It was the result of all the quiet, patient days before it. Language learning works the same way. So the key is trust. Trust your effort. Trust your habits. Trust that what you're doing, even if it feels small, is building something big. And that brings us to another important idea: sustainability. If you treat English like a sprint, you'll burn out. But if you treat it like a walk, one that you take every day, rain or shine, you'll go farther than you ever imagined. That's what makes the journey approach so powerful. It's not about how fast you go, but about whether you keep showing up. When learners chase speed or perfection, they often miss the joy. But when you slow down, when you accept that it's okay to move at your own pace, something shifts. You notice the funny expressions people use in conversations. You smile when you finally understand a joke in a movie. You enjoy the rhythm of a podcast, even if you don't catch every word. Suddenly, English becomes less like homework and more like a friend you're getting to know. It becomes part of your world, not just a subject to study. And let's talk about identity. Because language and identity are connected. When you speak English, you're not just translating words from your native language, you're expressing who you are. Your ideas, your humor, your curiosity. And that takes bravery. It takes heart. You might not always feel fluent, but that doesn't mean your voice isn't strong. It is. Every time you speak, even if it's just one sentence, you are making space for yourself in the world. And that matters. And here's another truth, there will be moments when you feel like giving up. When it feels too hard, too slow, too frustrating. When that happens, I want you to come back to this thought, this is not a test. It's a journey, and the only thing that matters is that you don't stop walking. You can pause. You can rest. But don't give up. Because you've already come so far. And there is so much more ahead of you, not just in English, but in life. And when we embrace that mindset, that English is a journey, not a test, we also begin to forgive ourselves more easily. We stop punishing ourselves for forgetting vocabulary or mispronouncing a word. We start to see those moments not as failures, but as steps. And every step, even the messy ones, takes us forward. You wouldn't yell at someone learning to ride a bike just because they fell. You'd cheer them on. You'd say, get back up. You're doing great. So why not treat yourself the same way? Think about it, when we learn anything new, cooking, dancing, using a new app, we expect to mess up. We even laugh about it. We accept that learning is messy. But when it comes to English, many learners suddenly expect perfection from the start. That's not fair to yourself. You are doing something brave. Something that takes courage. You're communicating in a second language. That deserves applause, not judgment. And you know what else happens on a journey? You meet people. Some who inspire you. Some who help you. Some who walk with you for just a short time. In the English learning journey, you'll meet fellow learners, teachers, maybe even native speakers who encourage you. Let those people into your world. Don't be afraid to connect, to make mistakes in front of them, to ask questions. Community turns the journey from a lonely walk into an adventure shared. But what if you feel like you're walking alone? What if no one around you is learning English? That's okay. Because part of this journey is learning how to support yourself. To be your own cheerleader. To find small joys and wins and reasons to keep going, even when no one's watching. That's a powerful skill. One that will help you not just in English, but in every part of life. So celebrate the little things. The day you understand a full sentence in a movie without subtitles. The moment you order food in English and the cashier understands. The time you say, I don't understand, can you repeat that, and you feel proud instead of embarrassed. Those are victories. Those are the things that make this journey worth it. And the more you pay attention to those small wins, the more motivation you'll feel. Progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It shows up in how your fear starts to shrink. In how your curiosity starts to grow. In how you stop translating every sentence in your head before you speak. These are signs that your English is becoming a part of you. Not something outside of you. Not something you're trying to do, but something you are doing. One of the most beautiful things about this journey is that it teaches you patience. It teaches you how to show up, even when you don't feel ready. How to trust the process. How to keep walking even when you can't see the finish line. And eventually, you realize, the finish line isn't the point. It was never about reaching fluency as a fixed destination. It was about how you grew along the way. How you built confidence, resilience, and a voice that's uniquely yours. When you look back, you won't just see the vocabulary lists or grammar lessons. You'll see a story. Your story. A story of effort, mistakes, laughter, frustration, and progress. A story that no one else can tell but you. And that's what makes this journey so powerful. It's not just about learning a language. It's about discovering what you're capable of. And as you continue walking this path, you'll notice something else. You start to change the way you think. Not just about English, but about yourself. You stop saying things like, I'm bad at this, or I'll never be fluent, and start saying, I'm learning, or I'm getting there. That small shift is powerful. Because when you speak to yourself with kindness and patience, you create space to grow. And growth doesn't always look like what you expect. Sometimes it's not in learning 5 new words, but in using one old word with more confidence. Sometimes it's not finishing a textbook, but understanding a joke in English and laughing out loud. Sometimes it's not writing a perfect essay, but sending a message to a friend without feeling anxious about mistakes. Those moments are real, and they matter. Don't overlook them just because they're not dramatic. Quiet progress is still progress. There's a common trap many learners fall into, chasing perfection instead of consistency. You might think, I need to study for an hour every day or it doesn't count. But that mindset turns learning into pressure. It becomes something heavy, something stressful. And when that happens, it's easy to avoid it altogether. But learning English isn't about doing it perfectly. It's about showing up. 5 minutes is better than nothing. A little bit each day adds up more than you think. Consistency is what turns a beginner into a confident speaker. It's what builds your habits, your mindset, and your rhythm. Imagine planting a tree. You water it a little bit every day. You don't expect it to grow overnight. But over time, the roots go deeper, the branches stretch higher. That's your English. Even on days when it feels like nothing's changing, something is happening beneath the surface. Trust that. And along the way, your reasons for learning might shift. Maybe you started because of school. Or travel. Or a job. But then you discover new reasons, understanding a song. Connecting with someone from another country. Reading a book you love. Expressing your ideas more clearly. These little moments add richness to your journey. They remind you that this isn't just about studying. It's about living. About experiencing life more fully, in a new language. There will still be days when it feels hard. Days when you feel like giving up. Days when you doubt yourself. That's okay. Every long journey has tough parts. But those moments don't mean you're doing something wrong. They just mean you're doing something real. And when you push through those days, even just a little, you come out stronger on the other side. You might not notice your progress day by day. But one day, you'll surprise yourself. You'll say something without thinking too hard. You'll understand a sentence without translating. You'll help someone else who's just starting. And in that moment, you'll realize, wow. I've come a long way. That realization won't come from a test score. It won't come from a certificate. It will come from you. From your experience. From your journey. That's why English isn't just a test. It's not something you pass or fail. It's a journey that you live. A process of learning, growing, stumbling, and rising again. And no matter where you are right now, just starting or years in, your journey is valid. Your effort is valuable. Your voice matters. And that's the beauty of it, this journey doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Maybe you're learning slowly. Maybe your accent is strong. Maybe you forget words or make grammar mistakes. So what? That's not failure. That's learning. That's growth. And if you zoom out and look at the big picture, you'll see how far you've come, not just in English, but in confidence, patience, and courage. Every time you choose to show up, even when you're tired, even when you're busy, even when it feels like nothing is changing, you're building something important. You're building trust in yourself. You're proving that you are someone who keeps going. That you can handle challenges. That you believe in your own voice, even when it shakes a little. Because English isn't just about words. It's about identity. It's about connection. It's about finding new parts of yourself, and sharing those parts with the world. Every phrase you speak, every sentence you write, every idea you express, they all matter. They're all part of this bigger, deeper journey of becoming someone who doesn't just speak English, but lives in it, thinks in it, feels in it. So no, English is not a test. It's not a finish line. It's not about getting 100% on a quiz or speaking without ever pausing. It's a part of your story. A long, winding, beautiful path that teaches you things far beyond language. It teaches you how to be patient. How to be brave. How to keep showing up, even when progress feels invisible. You're not just learning how to use English. You're learning how to express your heart. How to listen more carefully. How to step outside your comfort zone and discover what you're really capable of. And maybe the most important thing. You're learning that you belong. That this language is not just for other people. It's for you, too. You deserve to be part of the conversation. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to take up space, in English, and in the world. You deserve to take up space, in English, and in the world. And that's what this journey is really about. Not just learning a second language, but learning to believe in yourself. Every sentence you try, every mistake you make, every time you choose to keep going, that's something to be proud of. So, take a moment today to appreciate how far you've come. Not just in vocabulary or grammar, but in courage. In growth. In your decision to keep showing up. Because English is not a test. It's not about passing or failing. It's a journey, your journey. And it's okay if it's slow. It's okay if it's messy. What matters is that it's yours, and you're walking it with heart. Thanks for spending this time with me today on Easy Peasy English. I hope today's message reminded you that your progress is real, even if it's not perfect. Keep learning. Keep growing. And most importantly, keep being kind to yourself. You don't need to reach a finish line to be proud of your path. You're already on it. And that matters. I'm so proud of you for showing up today, for yourself, for your dreams, and for your voice. Remember, your English doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. And the world needs to hear it. See you next time.